Good evening and welcome to my YouTube channel. In today's episode, we are going to talk about the sarcastic summary of President Ruto's recent interview with the media group. First of all, if I may take a look, can remember in a remarkable display of composure, President Ruto brushed off concerns about the Ruto must go movement. With a nonchalant, everyone is entitled to their options. That means this man doesn't have you at the heart. So when probed about the tragic loss of lives during the recent protest, he assumes that such matters would bother anybody, including him. Though this empathetic stance seems to be lost on many Kenyans. Okay. Ni sisi ndio wajinga ama? Ruto firmly reiterated his campaign promises, no extrajudicial killings and public independence. Apparently, no extrajudicial killings have occurred on his watch, despite evidence to the contrary. President insists his hands are clean regarding police actions during the protest, attributing to the death of bad players who somehow infiltrated the demonstrations and the police force. When confronted with the heart-wrenching death of a 12-year-old who was shot 12 bullets, Ruto suggested that the child was shot by someone who has stolen a police gun. He magnanimously offered to explain this to the child's mother once his investigations are complete. His compassion is touching, really. Ruto also disputed the Kenya National Commission of Human Rights Commission report of 24 protest-related deaths, stating his security team counts of 19 was the true figure, accusing the Kenya National Commission of Human Rights spreading false news about the Githurai massacre, and proudly cited BB News as well as fact checker. Regarding whether the deceased were criminals, Ruto assured that the reports would clarify each case after investigations were completed. He shared an anecdote about a person short of antagonizing the police, reminding us of all to behave around law enforcement. Accountability for the police officers involved? Sure, the investigations. Do you remember Alfred Kitayo? The former MP, Nandi, was abducted unlawfully. Ruto said abduction was merely a lawful arrest, according to him, when asked how he felt on hearing the screams of Keter's children as he was forcibly whisked away. Dismissively noted that the children naturally feel pain when seeing their parents in distress. He then posed a rhetoric question about the children who lost their parent due to other crimes, while ironically reasserting his commitment to the rule of law. The president downplayed the illegality of holding protesters in Comunicado, urging that the extended police custody does not equate to abduction. This interruption might surprise legal experts, as the Constitution provides that no arrested person should be held in custody for more than 24 hours without arraignment in court. But who are we to question President's legal acumen? Ruto's concern shifted to the destruction of parliament and businesses during protest. He seemingly equates the damage with the loss of lives, stressing the financial impact of a human tragedy. Apparently, we should be equally outraged about property damage. So, Ruto claimed that he had no choice but to call in the army to prevent further chaos despite the tragic outcomes. He promised accountability for those arrested during the process and assured us that the review will eventually lead to the apprehension of those responsible for attacking Parliament and Supreme Court. When asked about the police harassment by the plainclothes officers, Ruto justified the actions provided they identify themselves. Should we ask those who were abducted whether the abductors officially introduced themselves before blindfolding them and whisking away to a known location? The president praised the police efforts during the protest, asserting they did their best. He diminished his deputy's comments on extrajudicial claims while reaffirming his stance against such actions. Addressing the youth grievances, Ruto highlighted that his government initiatives like the housing program, digital job opportunity, and various employment schemes were, and quoted, "When I pushed for the housing program, it wasn't about the homes, but about the employment," he said. There's now 160,000 people working on that program. He added that opportunities for digital jobs are being promoted, though provided no specific on what such jobs were. Noted that this government's concern for the youth has been evident even if the youth themselves seem unconvinced. The president said that the issue of the young people who have taken to the city did not start in the last 2 weeks, and that he was not president when they were born. Ruto defended the financial bill 2024, attributing its result to his sensitivity to the youth's protests, although he warned to dire consequences, such as 46,000 teachers not being absorbed in the TSC, coffee debt, no support to the farmers, continued importation of potatoes from Europe, and a 30 billion cut from county budgets. He described the MPs who have supported the bill as heroes, a sentiment not shared by the protesting public. One day, Kenya will know that the MPs who voted yes to the Finance Bill 2024 are the true heroes, because there is the opportunity for a better Kenya. Clearly, Kenyans beg to differ if the weeks' long protest is anything to go by. We are in a very difficult financial position. Ruto said Kenyan must understand this. Kenya seems to understand this more than the president does at this point. Yeah. So the president outlined the nation's financial woes, detailing the overwhelming debt and the necessity of the financial to avoid the further borrowing. The president averted that rejecting the finance bill, Kenya has basically told him to borrow even more money. Because if it encourages revenue from ourselves, then what's the alternative? He seemed oblivious to the alternative solutions like cutting government expenditure and tackling corruption, preferring to a burden to the public instead. Despite criticism from seasoned journalists Eric Latif about lying and mismanagement, Ruto insisted he has made significant strides, particularly in tourism and international relationships. The interviewers played clips of the president during the pre-election campaign's trail, where he said that the use of police to harass people is wrong. On rising of taxes, brazenly is hurtful to citizens. To it, the president responded saying, I don't believe in using police to settle political scores, and I don't took measures. No, he said I took measures, and I took measures to make the economy better, like dropping the price of maize flour. So he continued, and he said, I have done the best I could. Still going on, said, the countries, I have raised the country's profile. We are now accorded a lot of respect globally, and this can be backed by data from the tourism sector, which shows that all Kenyan hotels are now operating at over 80%. I can say we are recognized globally after protests. Before we got to the parliament, to the Chief Justice office, Mr. Ruto. Yes, we are being recognized globally. But after what Gen Z did, yeah. So I know that's why we skipped that, then ran to the question of China and America, the world politics. Well, I was saying when I went to China and America, we got money to implement a number of major projects and initiatives like manufacturing computer chips and machinery and equipment for 70 learning institutions. And then he pointed to increased funding for universities and revived fertilizer subsidies program as evidence of his achievements. Eric said. Eric Latif, listeners on Spice FM, said to tell you that you are tone deaf. You keep asking for more money each financial year, starting from 2.9 trillion to 3.6 to now 4.2 trillion. Yet the people do not see the fruits of this money. Teachers are not paid. Hiring persons are person to unconstitutional position like CAS, giving hundreds of millions to unscrupulous departments like the office of the wives of the president and his deputy. The medical sector on strike for 3 months. They see all this opulence and extravagance from political elites who address the public condescendingly when held accountable. In response to this, the president said, I have invested money. Is evident. I have taken measures that have increased funding for the university that we are shutting down, revive the fertilizer subsidies program, which had been previously shut down for 5 years. The uses of wife of the president and the deputy have always existed, but will now be part of expenses cut out of the budget, among others. He acknowledged that the need of budget cuts, hinting at potential reduction in the ministry's advisors and state departments. He encouraged patience, understanding from the youths, promising to engage them on platforms like X Spaces, which probably Gen Z rejected and are now trending with the hashtag do not give Ruto any X Space platform. Don't know if he's aware. So this among these interviewers asked the president what he was doing about the matters corruption, citing example like the fake fertilizer scandal, where no action was taken against Linturi, the condemned sugar that was found in the market, and the deep oil saga, which we do not know if that still made it to the market anyway. The president responded saying, I fired KEBS CEO after the sugar scandal. On fake fertilizer, CS Linturi was taken through the parliament process, and the CEO of Kenya's Serious Board, together with other serious staff, are currently in court for the same. Then the interviewer asks why the big fish CS was being spared and the small ones being sacrificed, to which the president responded, we have to follow legal procedure to give the benefit of the doubt. I cannot fire someone without evidence. During Uhuru's term, Uhuru fired 6 years, and later it was found out that they were innocent and then had to make them ambassador to make up for it. The president continued to fired the people involved in the edible oil saga, and they are now in court. We now have a new management at Kenya National Trading Association. The president also said we need to ban Harambe because it is occasioning and building corruption. There's something fundamentally wrong when a politician donates 20 million to the church when the salary cannot afford them to do that. On the question of the public debt, the president said that the public debt, which stands at over 10 trillion in the public domain, and I invite forensic experts to advise. Once this conversation is over, I shall share more about the public debt with Kenyans, hopefully in about a month. An interviewer asked, what are you telling the youth regarding what you've heard, the points of concern? The president responded, I will cut down the budget in my office. I want to engage with the youth so that we can discuss the way forward, matters development. I don't want to be the leader that took the country in the wrong direction. I believe I'm the person who can solve the problems that Kenya has at a time like this. The president went on to say, good friends, my sons and daughters who supported me during my election, I hear you. Be patient. So the president championed himself as the biggest advocate for exporting Kenyan labor. He still does not seem to comprehend that the Kenyan youth do not want to have to suffer working abroad to afford a very decent life. We want to be able to make things work here, home, here. The program including architects. No, the president promised that 3,000 people will be hired in the housing program, including architects and the likes. He said the government is sorting out the digital space, promoting local manufacturing to create more jobs and reducing political G's. The president addressed young doctors and clinical officers graduating this year to go into internship next year, and teachers graduating expecting to be absorbed into permanent and pensionable jobs. Said the finance bill had 18 billion for teachers, 3 billion for the doctors, and 10 billion for the universal health program. Even without the finance bill, we still work it out. Again, we'll ask, what should we expect as protesters take to the streets again in the coming Tuesday? President said KDF will not be in the street and will only show up as a last resort. Police will be there to protect peaceful protesters and apprehend the criminals. Karibu kunyaga State House, mtawana wajinga. So president addressed those who have lost confidence in parliament and calling for fresh elections, telling them that we must all be guided by the rule of law. I should not be abrogate our constitution because of unfortunate event of the last 2 weeks, as that would be sort of anarchy. So President was asked again whether he can tell Kenyans that he has a full confidence in his cabinet. After a little beating around the bush, he said, my cabinet maybe would have done better. I would do a soul searching on how we need to move forward. Who will tell the president that Kenyans have done a little soul searching themselves and come to realization that he and his government have failed us terribly, and we no longer want them to shape up. We want them to shape out. In essence, the president's interview was masterclass in deflection, minimization, and self-congratulation, leaving many wondering when the leadership will align with the people's needs. Think about yourselves, Kenyans. Goodbye. Thank you so much.